Hello, my name is Joshua Scott Greer, and this presentation is for a humanities course taken at University of Maryland Global Campus. The course is Humanities 344, and the course title is Technology and Culture. All right, let's get started. Hello, Professor Hartle. Hello, fellow classmates. This presentation is about social media's influence on culture and focuses mainly on Facebook as it is the most widely used social media platform, but we will mention some of the other sites as well throughout the presentation. A small disclaimer though. I have to preface this presentation that I am neutral on the advantages and disadvantages Facebook and other social media sites offer. However, the tone of this seminar may appear that I'm against social media use and that I may sound in favor of the disadvantages. This is not my intent. I believe many of the benefits provided by social media are more apparent and common knowledge than the disadvantages, such as long distance connections between friends and family, group messaging, etc., whereas some of the mental health issues associated with prolonged social media use are less apparent. So, what is social media? According to the Oxford Dictionary, social media is defined as websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. When did social media start? Well, social media roots can be traced back to hand-delivered correspondence and courier pigeons for communicating over great distances, long before computers and the internet even existed. However, the earliest form of modern social media was popularized during the 1980s through internet chat relays and IRC. In 1997, the first recognizable social media site was created, 6 Degrees. In 1999, blogging sites became popularized, which led to the inception of MySpace and LinkedIn, that became hugely popular in the early 2000s. The social media giant Facebook began as a college student-only application that later became available to the public in 2006 and has dominated the industry ever since, with almost 50 times the amount of users as MySpace. So how popular is it? Over 2.45 billion user accounts on Facebook. Over 1.62 billion users log in daily. Average time logged in per session is roughly 20 minutes. 5 new profiles are created every second, and over 83 million fake profiles exist. Now, these fake profiles are important to note too, as they often serve a hidden agenda. They could be adult themed, politically driven, a phishing attempt by hackers and/or terrorists, or a clever marketing scheme to coerce someone into believing something. Thesis statement. Social media helps individuals in many ways, but it can also cause problems. So is social media good or bad? Well, the answer to that is up to the individual users. However, the intent of this presentation is to highlight both the good and the bad and to remain neutral in the analysis. Additionally, social media has become so ingrained in our society that even if the disadvantages outweighed the benefits, it would likely remain a widely used global commodity. So, what is the problem or problems for which social media is the solution to? Connecting friends and family around the globe, such as connecting military service members to their family members while they're deployed across the world, migrant workers to their loved ones while they're working geographically separated from their families, and individuals to childhood friends as they grow and disperse across the globe. Collaboration for group projects and assignments, like a technical field requiring specific skills to address specific problems. A common phrase in government work is, I'll throw it in the group chat, someone will know the answer. It also serves as an event planning venue for all interested parties to converse within for the planning efforts. Connecting common interest groups with their peers. Back in the days before social media was mainstream, individuals who possessed unique interests and hobbies were generally limited to their physical company's expectations of norms, whereas social media platforms have allowed them to connect with other individuals who share their aspirations or happiness. And lastly, social media provides a venue of support groups for individuals in need, such as victims of domestic violence seeking shelter or refuge from a bad situation. This medium also heightens awareness on the topic of domestic violence as exposure is increased. Additionally, addicts seeking mentorship and/or guidance from others celebrating their sobriety can connect with their intended audience via the support groups afforded by social media. So whose problem is it? Well, as previously mentioned, social media bridges the gap of individuals trying to communicate remotely from one another. So individuals trying to connect that are geographically separated own this problem. Also, organizations that assign group projects to their employees, the workers assign the group tasking, and when collaboration of efforts and transparency are essential to the success of the enterprise. A good example of this would be event plannings such as weddings, political rallies, or award ceremonies, where numerous entities are working towards a common goal or performance and streamlining their efforts could afford a better chance of success and/or minimize the amount of hiccups throughout the process. Additionally, circling back to the support groups mentioned in the previous slide, individuals who suffer from ailments seeking guidance to overcome their challenges and victims of domestic violence in desperate need of a safe haven and/or immediate protection from their assailant also own this problem, which social media could potentially rectify. So which people and what institutions might be seriously harmed by this technological solution? Businesses who suffer data breaches, such as federal organizations or medical establishments, could be severely harmed by this technological solution if a breach were to occur. And so would the individuals whose data they compromised. These organizations could inadvertently divulge employee or customer information via social media and expose the subject victims to identity theft, fraud, or defamation from the sensitive information disclosed. Beyond the organization's fault, Facebook has been successfully hacked on more than one occasion, compromising 50 million user accounts in 2018. The hacked accounts included the victim's personal identifying information, and many third-party apps were henceforth available to the hacker's leisure. In the U.S. Navy, there is a saying, loose lips sink ships, and it implies that individuals that discuss their ship's movements expose their crews to dangerous situations, and the potential to lose the ships entirely to an adversary. With the advent of social media, this has become a major issue across all branches of military service, as soldiers, sailors, and Marines can now instantaneously relay their current position back home to their loved ones anywhere there is cell phone or internet service available. Foreign adversaries can now achieve a better supervision of our military forces through social media surveillance. Some other people and institutions that might be seriously harmed by this technological solution are disconnected families and friends, in particular youth, due to overusing social media and neglecting physical company. In this photo, you see two adults at the dinner table with their child, whom they are ignoring as they are totally engrossed with their social media via their cellular devices. Instances like this can be quite devastating to children as they lack the micro-social interactions afforded to other children by their subject parents. A study conducted in Japan found that 1.2 million men are withdrawing themselves from society and avoiding face-to-face social interactions for extended periods of time, lasting anywhere from months to years. These young citizens were brought up in a social media enriched world, and they prefer their online avatars to their actual lives as they spend their awake hours between video games and social media platforms. Their identities are becoming lost between the two realities. And individuals who suffer or are susceptible to mental health problems or self-esteem issues. are very likely to suffer harm from social media's influence given the large amount of unfiltered content that flows throughout the medium, as they tend to be more sensitive to criticisms. One survey found that in the US, 79% of Americans have Facebook accounts, and over 70% log into the accounts daily, while 34% of the daily login individuals check their social media feeds between 100 to 150 times per day. Given the extensive use of social media in the United States, it is likely that America will experience an increase in mental health disorders and maybe even their own version of reclusive youth like the Japanese. So what new problems might be created because we have solved this problem? Well, social skills degrade in the physical environment. Here you see two individuals communicating side by side with their phones rather than physically engaging one another face to face. Research has found that individuals who strive to become unique personas on social media can unknowingly distance themselves and become lonely, consequently leading to isolation and the development of psychological problems. Their social relationships with friends and family can become strained and lead to aggressive or depressive behavior. These actions further perpetuates the disorders as the subject individual increases their use of social media to maintain their social needs, leading to more dysfunctional behavior. Self-esteem issues due to inwardly focused thoughts. Here you see Khaleesi, mother of dragons and queen of the self-absorbed. Individuals often resemble their role models and unintentionally start dressing and/or acting like them. This is called mediatic behavior, and it's extremely prevalent in social media. Social media publicizes individuals' lives and social trends begin to emerge, and people start to be followed for their modern styles and their viewership goes up. This causes the subject individual to feel as though they themselves are part of the media, like a celebrity, and they begin to treat the social media environment as a mediatic world revolving around oneself. Hence the saying, let me take a selfie for my followers. And a narcissistic youth culture, extra sensitive to criticisms of self-image. In order to maintain one's online reputation, individuals often cover up real-life mistakes and/or physical deformities, blame it last, deformities, or blemishes in order to maintain their brand. They thrive on their online appearance and prefer their digital image to their physical form, seeking only to receive likes and comments about their individual beauty. They see themselves as special and superior to their peers and hunt for individuals who agree with their opinion, racking up large number of friends and followers. Individuals who use Facebook often show more narcissistic tendencies compared to their traditional analog companions. Excessive use of social media has been linked to a wide array of negative side effects in youth, ranging from children to early adults. The overuse of social media has shown to affect their mental health and social dexterity, and increases their chances of developing anxiety, depression, sleepiness, loneliness, obesity, and a host of other psychological disorders, while also leaving the subjects in a vulnerable state susceptible to future health problems. Research has shown that Facebook can negatively impact students' learning abilities by being a major distractor from their coursework. One study found that students who check their Facebook accounts during study lab are statistically receiving lower grades compared to the subjects who waited till after class to indulge their social media needs. Other problems. The subtle anonymity provided by social media allows for an influx of vulgar content and ill mannerisms. So what does that mean? Well, individuals are now able to comment on other people's content and conduct without fear of immediate reprisal from the targeted individual. This freedom to safely scrutinize another person can be formed thousands of miles away from the security of one's own home. And unfortunately, the substance of the message can be quite harsh, given the author's safekeeping. In this photo, you see a female standing in front of her laptop, bombarded by an onslaught of cruel-natured words. This is a common theme within social media platform, as it has given oppressors a venue to cyberbully their victims, and this has ripple effects too. The influx of unkind content saturates the atmosphere and becomes a mundane response by future perpetrators as society begins to recognize the ill mannerisms as commonplace within the social media environment. A good analogy for this would be the school shooting crisis in America. Though every incident was a terrible event, the fact that so many have occurred have significantly reduced the public shock associated with these incidences. Are past school shooters inspiring others to act? I believe the answer is yes when it comes to cyberbullying, as there is safety in numbers and a venue for negative people to converse. Addictive behavior. Numerous studies have found that the self-validation loop in social media is similar to the dopamine loop found in drug users, alcoholics, and gambling addicts. Addiction takes many forms, but most stimulate the release of the chemical dopamine. Certain acts release dopamine, such as sex, food, shopping, video games, social media, etc. One theory suggests that people who lack the natural sources of dopamine, like good food, meaningful relationships, and sexual activity, turn to social media to offset their needs. There are now physicians who specialize in social media addiction that seek to discover the patient's underlying cause that drives them to this dopamine addiction. So, what sort of people and institutions might acquire special economic and political power because of this technological change? Business owners receiving positive feedback through recommendations or self-promoting via advertisements on social media, such as when a patron checks into an establishment and rates their experience for others to view, or when businesses offer their customers discounts for liking their establishments on social media, which ultimately increases their company's exposure to other potential patrons. Business owners and politicians giving false testament in their favor. This can be accomplished by giving false reviews and ranking an establishment 5 out of 5 stars, and by giving false testament to the stellar products or services the subject company provided. Politicians utilizing social media to campaign for office or slander their political opponent, such as the political ad you see here mocking ex-Secretary of State Hillary Clinton as she ran for office during the 2016 presidential election. The Trump campaign depicted her as Pac-Man trying to eat her emails before the FBI ghost could catch her. This was a viral commercial that spread on social media platforms that was used to slander the Democratic candidate. And economically deprived individuals can now compete with their more affluent peers. The internet is reshaping the political landscape, in particular social networking sites. Candidates can now immediately fundraise via social media and tap fundraising sources they would not have had access to prior to the advent of social media. This allows for aspirants to run for office who are not as financially endowed as other contenders. Here you see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, who is not currently running for office, standing next to President Donald Trump. She was popularized via social media due to her political activism and her fan base, who are encouraging her to enter the 2020 race. Utilizing social media platforms for political campaigning enables individuals a podium to campaign against richer administrations, which affords the American public a greater selection of potential candidates. However, it also dilutes the landscape and has left the Democratic Party divided amongst their candidates. While this presentation was being prepared, there were 18 active Democratic candidates and 10 Democratic candidates that dropped from the race. Forbes estimates a handful of these candidates' net worth to be below the $1 million mark, with one as low as $100,000 and the highest being around $52.4 billion. Social media as advertising, fundraising, and campaigning tool has perpetuated this divide. So what changes in language are being enforced by this technology, and what is being gained and lost by such changes? Slangs unique to a specific subculture and separate geographic locations are blended together via the social media platform, widening the semantic void. In the Pacific Northwest, the phrase, "I would smash that," quite literally means "I would crush the object," whereas in other parts of the country, it means "I would have sex with him or her." Or, smash could refer to someone's intoxicated state. Slangs like this are being popularized and spreading to other subcultures across the world as social media bridges the distant communities. Phrases unique to social media are infiltrating the written and spoken language, such as selfie, LOL, ROFL, BRB, hashtag swipe left, etc. Shortcut language derived from Facebook messaging, such as leet speak, derived from the word elite, where individuals use numbers or symbols to replace the characters, such as LEET being replaced by 1337. And then the last change that we'll address is the potential for informal and formal writing styles to be mixed up in formal correspondence. So in summary, social media is here to stay, and it's a global force that will likely integrate into more aspects of our lives. There are many benefits to include connecting people geographically separated, collaboration of efforts, connecting special interest groups and individuals to support groups. There are also many negative aspects to include cyberbullying, social media addiction, social disorders, false advertising, fake news, and the potential to compromise personal information. These are my references. Some more references. And that is all, folks. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on social media's influence on culture. Thank you.